Greetings, family, greetings, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for always coming back to watch our videos. And today we are celebrating our brothers and sisters in the United States. Forget the others. Because yesterday you got a new president, and we are hoping, because we have seen a lot of things happening in the last 12 hours, hoping that you get the best. We also saw the pastor praying, and we know he asked for what you need, and we are hoping that you get all that you need. So it was a wonderful day, a great day, and we listened to the speech. We've seen a lot of orders being signed, but our question is, how is all this going to affect Africa? You might say, oh, that is America, this is Africa. No, we cannot just brush it off, because one thing, even in culture, Africa copies America, and America influences a lot of things in Africa. We have been talking about US military in Africa. We have been talking about things like pandemics, which we don't want to say too much about the pandemic sides, but we've seen a lot of people, rich people, influencing Africa, being like the controllers of the African governments, the likes of the gate, So the question here is, how is Trump and his administration going to affect Africa? But one thing for sure is, we listened to the speech and Trump never talked about Africa in any way, or Europe. It's America, America, America. So it's making the US great again. So anything he said was about making the US great again. But the orders which he signed later and everything that he said, how are they going to affect Africa, in positive or in the negative way? So we start by looking at the orders in which he signed. So in summary, he signed an order to withdraw from Paris Climate Treaty. The Paris Climate Treaty, which was signed in COP21 in 2015, and this was mainly to reduce carbon emissions across the world. Climate change, some will say it's a hoax, some will say it's happening, but what do we say? We talk about that. Then he also signed an order directing all federal employees to return to full-time in-person work. So this thing that was brought by COVID of working from home, if you are employed by the government of the US, you have to be there. He signed an order to end the weaponization of the government against political opponents, like we've seen the government of Biden taking him to court and all that. Order to address the skyrocketed inflation during the past administration. He's going to improve the economy, reduce inflation and all that. Order freezing the DEI federal hiring. This hiring of people based on the color, based on, minority, based on gender. That bullshit is all gone. Now it's based on merit, which is amazing. Then he pardoned 1,500 plus January 6 defendants, those guys who were fighting for him when Biden was being made the president. He signed an order designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That should be it, because the things that cartels do are like terrorists. They are terrorists, actually. He signed an order to secure the southern border. So, guys, no migration through the southern border. Order to declare a national emergency for the US border, that is the south. Order to restore merit-based hiring system. That came with the finishing the DEI, hiring. Order granting TikTok service so long as it sticks. They do some partnership with the US. Order for the creation of Department of Government Efficiency, will be led by Elon Musk. Order to hold former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information. Order to protect American women from the dangers of radical gender ideology, in which those transgender people will not be participating in women's sports. That's one of them. Order to hold foreign aid for 90 days, in which, according to me, should be ended permanently. order to change the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. And something else about that is Africa should follow suit and call the Indian Ocean, the African Ocean. Order requiring within 60 days to an end to all DEI government programs, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you are thinking of getting a job because of your skin color, of your minority groups and gender and all that nonsense, it's gone, eh? Order on the death penalties directing all necessary and lawful action so that states have enough lethal injection drugs to carry out executions. And there are things that he said, recognizing that in the US there will only be two genders, male and female. He ended the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, no foreign aid for the next 90 days. And I think after that, now they decide if it's good to continue or it would be permanently ended. Then the US is withdrawing from the World Health Organization. And with this, Elon Musk saying it's restoring American sovereignty over health. They will also end birthright citizenship, and bring back freedom of speech. Those are some of the wonderful things that he actually made 100 decisions, even before 3 hours, 5 hours, or 6 hours were gone. That is a good president for a country. But the question is, how are these going to affect our countries? And number one, we have order to withdraw from the Paris Climate Treaty. Anything climate, it's become a nuisance to Africa. Like last year, we talked about our president selling land in what they were calling carbon credits. Lands, big lands like Zimbabwe has given out, Tanzania, is it Sierra Leone or Liberia? I think Sierra Leone. Countries are giving out land to people from outside, especially the UAE, so that they can come and control it and sell carbon credits. Kenya was in the line to that. I don't know whether it happened because their president was like this African climate headmaster. So there were those things. And with the US pulling out, it means they will not be subject to these treaties. And one thing that Trump is doing this because he said that they are going to baby drill, because he wants to bring back manufacturing to the US. And with manufacturing, you have to use a lot of energy. And this energy, they are planning to use their oil. So there's no way they are going to reduce carbon emissions. And he says that there's no way we are going to reduce carbon emissions while other countries like China are using impunity to continue polluting. And what do I say? What do you say about this?
Drill, baby, drill.
And for me, I say climate change is, it's not all about emissions. It's other things. Like, we can plant a lot of trees which use carbon dioxide.
The problem with climate change, the only problem that I have with climate change, the fact that they claim that it's affecting us, Africans, the most. Us, we have to be the ones to play a bigger role in.
Yeah, like the way the Kenyan president has been.
That is nonsensical. Honestly, when you look at the climate and the carbon emissions that some of us even give out to the world,
they say it's about 0.4%.
0.0 something 000. And then you want us, then they have this many programs, NGOs. White people are making a killing in Africa because of climate change. A lot of NGOs, young people have been promised, like, create your own NGO, we'll give you funding. Hey, youth, I don't know what. We have been victims. Youth, I don't know what, trying to combat climate change. When you look at this thing, really, it's a money-making machine. Yeah. And it beats the fact that if there was climate change, what are we doing about it? If there's no climate change, then why the fuss on Africa?
For me, I look at that, it has become, there are a lot of politics, and it became a business. When the likes of Gate joined this project, this thing, it became so much of a business in which they have to make money out of it. But what I believe is climate change will always be there. actually, if you look at climate, the definition is change in weather patterns over a period of
Which
25
climate will
years.
always
So
change.
it's always been changing. But what we can do is, because we have been destroying our environment, we need to go back to,
Our indigenous
yes, we
systems.
need to relate to environment, stop destroying forests, plant a lot of trees. That is how we revert back to the good climate.
Yeah, like in
Otherwise,
African spirituality, we have our seers
yeah,
talking to
the
the
trees,
clouds
yeah,
and telling the clouds, hey, we need rain, and it happens. They will just mix a few things and talk. God will directly give us rain. And because the systems were in place, if it's
yes,
trees, they used to plant. If it's nature, the houses they built were, if it falls down, it goes back to nature. Right now, these iron sheets that we have, everything, the equipment, the materials that we are using, they are not very nice to the environment. And how now can you convince the environment to be good to you if you are that
you are
way?
destroying it.
You
If
know?
you cut, what happens is, if there's a forest, it is cool in the area around. If you cut that forest, it's no longer cool, it's hot. Now you have changed your climate. If you plant trees, you create a microclimate. That is what we need. But now it's a business. And US pulling out of it means that the funding that we were providing to this nonsense is gone.
A lot of organizations are going to shut down.
Okay?
Definitely.
So in Africa, even the puppets who have been talking about African climate and all that, they have to shut up, which is good. Let's go to the next one. And it's all about ending this nonsense of LGTV plus plus plus. Because we saw the last administration of Biden pushing this nonsense onto us, in which even the wife came to Kenya, and the court even passed something allowing it form organization, because they were to be given funding, because they've been funding this thing. Now in the US, they are recognizing what? And another thing is, they are ending the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it means nobody will be forcing us to like what we hate, which is not in our culture. And kudos to President Museveni for standing with their culture. So nobody is going to push us for the next 4 years. They are good. Those people can go back to their normal selves, because God did not create that.
If you want to see how bad or how much of an impact this thing has done in Africa, when I came to Kenya 9 years ago, like I'd never, if even in the streets, in fact, I was asking you, like, don't you guys have the LGTV plus community here? I've never seen anybody on the streets, like nothing. Even on social media,
Yeah.
Kenyans were that straight. In just a matter of, I think from 2020, around 2019, just recently, it went poof with the funding. And
Yeah.
everybody on social media is now part of the community. Kenyans, a lot of celebrities. I was wondering, when did this happen? So that is how huge of an impact these policies of the US
And
come to mess us
the
up.
problem is, you could not even say no on Twitter, even on YouTube, guys. That's why we are saying LGTV. We cannot
Talk
say
about it.
yes. That was a big problem. Now the next 4 years,
We
it's
have
coming to
two.
an end. Okay. Another thing is, you hold foreign aid for 60 days, right? 90 or 60 days, whichever. So that means
90, I think it's
for 90 days. That means, and we are hoping that it could be permanent. This means that money will not be coming from the US. It will be used for the people of the American people, to improve their country. That means that, a lot of aid comes to Africa, but it comes as it's as a trap. One thing is, we are given aid, we have to pay. Another thing is, that aid makes, like, our leaders use our taxes for their own personal, because they have that aid. Now there's no aid in health. People will have to fight the government to use that tax they've been collecting on the matters of health. You see? So I hope that the aid will, because aid has never helped Africa in any way.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Then another thing is, the US is leaving WHO completely. Like, they want to finish, to withdraw from WHO, because WHO has been this organization which is being used by rich people, those crazy people.
For their own agenda.
Yes, like for example, they cannot say this is wrong because they are being controlled by someone who has money and he wants to pass some narrative. Now,
or sell some product.
yes, with the new, will he be like a minister, Kennedy Jr., make America healthy again. This time, if it's some food which they have to ban, like they banned they banned the coloring, they ban it without waiting for WHO to say, oh, with their researchers, scientists, hey, it's okay, you can take it. No, if it's wrong, it's wrong. So that is one thing, and you know why I'm happy about it. We've been hearing some allegations in which some rich people test things like drugs and all that on Africans with the go ahead of WHO and our African leaders who are either forced or they are given something without the knowledge of the population, which goes against the whole health code. You see, so for Africa now, such things will end because this thing they are removing like a lot of funding from it. Like a lot of funding was coming from the US to WHO, and I wish they can even leave the UN and all that so that these organizations can end, and the veto power is gone.
Talk of organizations, we have a big organization called PEPFAR in Southern Africa that deals with HIV medicines and all of these things. That thing is huge in Southern Africa. As you know, that Southern Africa, Swaziland, South Africa, the rates of HIV are very high. So these guys make a killing from this. And, sometimes you hear that there's no HIV, there's no ARVs, because the funding has not reached to, because that they have not been sent to the hospitals.
But don't you think our taxes, our mineral resources, can be able to cover for that?
It's not even about taxes. Now, with this limit of funding or closure of funding, if we had great presidents, Africans have skills. We have medical, medicinal, traditional medicinal skills. And there's a time that a Sangoma, a traditional doctor in Swaziland and South Africa, they had given out medication for HIV and AIDS. And these guys really fought against it because they said it's not tested, lab, I don't know, I don't know. They just really tell you that yours is shit. We can't work with it because even the measurements of the doses, the dosage is not lab, right. I don't know what, we need things that have been tested in the lab. And this guy had really helped a few people in Southern Africa deal with HIV and AIDS. But now, because it's a new thing that will kill their market, they said no. And this is the time now to rise. If we are Africans and we know what we want for ourselves, it's time to rise and say, hey, Sangomas Banban, you, doctor, I don't know who, help us bring back these traditional medicines that you had done for us. This is the time for you to shine. Because with little funding, some people might die.
What I'm happy for, ARV will have a problem, like the supply will be big problem in Africa. But it's time to rise up. Even in Kenya itself, the health systems are not working. But the funding is not there. It's all about if a politician gets sick, they go abroad, even to give birth abroad. What about the people who are living there? So this time, the people will fight.
Time for the people to rise.
The 4 years in which I can say we will have some freedom to rise up. And young people have been rising up since we saw Ibrahim Traore and the AES rising. We know that now it's time for young people. Young people will push the old leaders out because they only wait for grants and aid and all that. Now we'll have to make our own medicine. Now we'll have to make our own taxes work. Yes, because these now will be our priorities. Another one is keeping TikTok and bringing back the freedom of speech. Do you know Africa copies a lot, especially politicians. You see, even in Kenya, they want to close down Twitter. They want to close down TikTok because the US is doing the same. Like TikTok was banned in the US on Sunday, and on the same day in Canada it was not working. So there are like those copycats, like they want to be like this. Now let them try to do it.
There's no one
Freedom
to
of
copy from.
speech. When the US says freedom of speech, even your president cannot say no. Not that the US will come and intervene, no, but our leaders are very scared of, if the citizens rise up and say no, you see. So it's been good, and okay, for me, as at now, I'm happy because we have the time to rise, and I'm hoping that I'll influence some change in the next 4 years as Trump influences his change for my African brothers and sisters in the motherland and also abroad. Then there was another thing that we noted yesterday is look at the people surrounding this guy, Trump. Most of the people are tech engineers. We saw Elon Musk, we saw Mark Zuckerberg, we saw Jeff Bezos. We also saw the CEO of Google. You see, that is his circle.
Group of.
That is his circle. And when he talked, one thing he said, we are going to Mars, and Elon Musk was celebrating. Another thing he said is they are going to bring a lot of advancement. So you see, these are tech engineers. So one thing that as an African or as a, whoever you are, wherever you are, be sure that technology will rise at a very high pace. Okay? And we'll be talking about robots. They are coming. We've been talking about Congo having, destabilizations because of their minerals, which can advance, which are very much involved in electronics, which is important in battery making, for the advancement of this tech. So be sure it's either Congo rises up and the African countries, because even Kenya has the mineral coltan. It's either we rise up or crazy business people from abroad come and start stealing our minerals. If the president of Congo doesn't rise up and say, now we are going to do business with government to government in a beneficial way for my people, Congo will remain in a very bad state. Even Sudan, even let's say Africa.
The rest of Africa.
But for the countries of the ages, they have established this way of saying, we are going to mine our minerals and sell at this price. That is what we need. If we can start at this step, right now that US has a new president, make deals government to government rather than, criminals to our government, will go far.
Talking about people surrounding Trump, I'm still on that note, yeah? Have you ever looked at the people that usually surround our presidents in Africa?
The criminals I'm talking about.
They are criminals, like some or most with track records, like this one stole so many billions from the government, embezzlement of funds, known cases to the public.
Yeah.
And how stupid of us as the African people to not have a problem. I don't know if you don't have it, but I'm seeing a lot of uprising in Kenya. Like they will tell you, no, not Nani. We can't work with this guy. We know your track record. We
and
can't.
By the way, all those people surrounding, even Trump himself, even Vance, those people are business people who have a track record.
Yeah, they are business people who have been stealing.
No, here they are politicians. They only
stealing.
They go there, they steal, they make money, but they have not invented anything. They have nothing to show. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, he has Facebook, he has Instagram, he has WhatsApp. Look at Elon Musk, he has SpaceX, he has Tesla, he
in
has
Africa,
Boring
our
Company.
presidents don't even want to align with these young people
The innovators,
who are
yeah.
Look at Tinubu, he has Dangote. Dangote should be by his side all the time. Like, hey, what do we do now? How do we navigate this one? How do we improve our factories and what do we create next?
But he's not.
Very far from Dangote.
He's with the criminals, the people they can steal with and make deals
we are
with.
doomed.
Yeah?
Brothers and sisters, let us know what you think about this. We are excited for the new change.
Yes,
4 years of change for Africa.
Let us know in the comment section what you think. An extra point, you think that Trump administration will influence Africa?
Yeah, how?
Yep.
If you would love to support us, we have Buy Me a Coffee link in the description box down below. We also have super thanks and super chats. Please support us by, super thanking us and super chatting us. We'll appreciate your support by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We shall see you in the next one.
Bye bye.